And like to number one, welcome everyone who's here in attendance, and we also have do we have a guest, Tom?
Mr. Rowe, this is Craig Harrison. I didn't know if you wanted to share anything, but we're glad to have you be a part of our meeting.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Moten, whenever you get a time, we'd love to just hear a few words from you, and look forward to having you join our meeting. All right. So last meeting, Jim, I want to thank you for presiding over the meeting. Really appreciate that. I was traveling.
We'll ask you for a report after this meeting.
Sure. So since we didn't have a quorum on the last meeting, I'd like to see if we can't, since we do have a quorum today, like to go ahead and approve the meeting minutes from March.
I will approve the March meeting minutes.
Second.
All right, any discussions? So all in favor?
Aye.
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 April meeting minutes.
April meeting. Aye. Go ahead.
Second.
Any discussions on the April meeting minutes? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So minutes approved. Thank you very much. So since we do have a quorum, we'd like to Jim Gregory has been, I don't know if you want to say nominated, self-nominated to be the vice chair, and we'd like to have a vote on that. So do I hear a motion to have Jim Gregory as vice chair?
Yes, I will make that motion to have Jim be vice chair.
Okay. Kate, you second?
I second.
Okay. Any discussions? Okay. We will vote. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? So moved. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, now on to the Heritage Tree and Tree Awards. So I know that Alana and Craig, Alana, what is the update on that? Or Craig, either one?
Well, yeah, so we went and measured the one tree down by Greenfield Lake. It was a good learning experience for us. Beautiful trees. We thought all of them probably qualified. I don't know that we've gone about making an actual award certificate yet. We talked about it, but I don't know how far we got on that. And then we have, I think, just one more tree we're looking at tomorrow over on Airlie Oaks.
Yes.
Which I think you guys have been invited to, but it's a good training process, even if you're familiar, just to make sure we're doing it right. So hopefully we'll see some of you guys there.
Okay. All right. And Craig, as far as next steps on the ones that we already looked at?
To give kind of an update, we have received applications and reviewed, I'm sorry, I don't have it sitting in front of me, I believe 5 trees or tomorrow, or 5 addresses. There's more trees on that one. Where we've gone out, we recognize that they do meet our requirements for heritage tree. We have not yet recognized them in city council. What we're trying to do is, we had a little bit of time with COVID. We're trying to catch up on it. After we do the one tomorrow, we'll have one kind of more recent application outstanding, and then we'll be caught up. But I believe that, Jim, you got, was it 2 more last night?
2 more last night that I sent to you and Alana. Yeah.
So that puts us, 3. So I guess sort of big picture, Tom, if we can knock out that team of yourself, me, Alana and Kathy, and Kathy's planning on being there tomorrow. We knock out these 3 remaining addresses, we would be caught up. The history, and Jim, if I'm getting this wrong, or Aaron, I think is that we have intake this time of year, and it's in the spring where we recognize that as a meeting. So we still have the opportunity to follow that process, keep gathering the ones, and then, having some type of recognition award, if you will, in the spring.
Okay, so just for clarification, what we try to do is we try to group all the heritage trees together and present it to the commissioners all at once rather than doing one-offs. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got the record of the ones that we approved during COVID. So I will promise to put together a list of those and pass it on to Alana and Craig.
Okay.
Jim, I've got the list, but what I don't have is some of the photos from those.
Yeah.
That's all I'm missing.
And I can't remember if we have any photos of your tree, Craig. So you might provide a couple of photos of that one.
I would be delighted.
But I've got good photos of the others.
So how far in advance do we have to communicate with the commissioners to get on the schedule? Is it 2 months, 1 month?
Aaron, you know what the sort of the timing is to get on agendas? To city council.
City council.
Yeah, I can help. Generally speaking, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for your service. Generally, it's about 4 or 5 weeks lead time. So the information needs to be in the system, Aaron, 4 weeks approximately from the date you'd like to be on the council agenda.
Okay.
If it's just an annual presentation, we probably could facilitate a shorter window, but would need whatever the report is in advance of the meeting. So we may be able to compress it.
Thank you very much for your input.
You're welcome, Tom. Thank you.
So Alana and Craig and Jim, thanks for all your help and support on the Heritage Tree Award and Tree Awards. Really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to getting this list in front of the commissioners so that we can continue to honor and all of the wonderful trees we have here in Wilmington. So next item on the agenda is the Urban Forest Master Plan. So I know the latest update is it's going to be reviewed at council on June 6th. Is that correct?
I believe that is the date. Yes, there's been a presentation of the, just a condensed presentation to the manager's office. And it is set for June to be presented, a presentation directly to city council.
Great.
Excuse me, Aaron, it may be the second meeting in June. I will confirm that while you continue to work, but I think it's the second meeting, not the first meeting. Let me
Okay.
confirm it, okay?
Thank you, Tom.
Thank
You're
you, Tom.
welcome.
Aaron, can I ask you a question? At that meeting, is there an opportunity for public input, or would that be later on when it is returned back to city council for approval?
The meeting in June is just a presentation of the information to council, so I'm not sure that it's a public input. Tom, do you have any comment on that? You'd say Tom Moten, do you have any comment on that, please?
He's probably in the middle of something.
Tom may be busy, but as far as I know, it's not a public input. They're, after it's presented to council, they'll have for a month, and I think it goes back in July for them to make an official a vote on accepting the plan.
So it appeared July would be the more opportune time for public comment.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it and see as far as public comment. I'm not sure right offhand.
And I asked because I've been asked from the Alliance members and this members, they want to be there to support. So in any way they can, to help the process, the groups want to be involved.
Yeah, if they're wanting to be at the council meeting for support, I'd say probably definitely June and July as well, whenever it goes back. Both meetings would be good.
It looks like Tom's ready.
Okay, Tom.
Yes, my apologies. I was trying to recover my screen. What we generally would do is present the plan to council, wait a month, 4 weeks later, and then present it to council for adoption. So generally, the presentation itself is not designed to have input, but prior to adoption, there'd be an opportunity for comment. So we want to present the information to council, let the public see what exists, and then there'd be an opportunity on the date of the proposed adoption to take public comment. And even in the intervening time, if you want to write comments or anything else, that can be submitted to the city clerk. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
So Aaron, how is the feedback from the managers meeting? Was there any quick summary on that, or was it?
Just like I said, it was just a very condensed version, just a high level version, just to present the plan to them before it actually goes to council and kind of pare it down so we can prepare the presentation that will actually be given to council.
Mhm.
I mean, if Tom would like to provide his feedback, he was in the meeting, his perception of it, but it was just all of the information that the tree commission has already seen. It was just a condensed down version presented to the manager's office in preparation for it going to council.
Okay.
Right. I would characterize it as favorable. Excitement that for the first time, we have a blueprint to really have a formalized process to address our urban forest. So the master plan, we're excited about it, and that the presentation will be on June 20th, the second meeting in June.
Okay.
I just want to confirm that.
20th. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Great. Any other questions on the urban forest master plan? Aaron, thank you for the update. Tom, thank you for your inputs on that. The Trees Forever program. Last month, we had the Cape Fear Alliance here talking about changing the name. Is that correct, Jim?
Yeah, there's the board of directors of the Alliance of Cape Fear Trees has discussed this, and as you see in the agenda, Cape Fear Legacy Trees is the name that the Alliance board has selected. And of course, because we're very much involved in that program, they would like a vote from us approving that name change.
Tom, before you do a vote, just, recap, the name Trees Forever is challenged by itself since trees aren't forever. And that's part of why they want to change the name to get something that doesn't have that in it. I'm not sure on process. I'm kind of looking at Aaron on this, from our standpoint, we'd be advising and recommending with a vote to change that. I don't know what that would mean on from your side.
The Trees Forever, or if it gets changed to Cape Fear Legacy Trees, it is fully a program of the Alliance for Cape Fear Trees now. So a vote from the tree commission would just be a vote of support for them to change the name. As far as I know, there would be no impact on the city side.
And you would not need to do anything more than just be advised of what Alliance ends up with?
Yes, we would just start using the name, new name, in any communications that we have about it. But as far as processes on the city side, again, as far as I'm aware offhand, there'd be no change.
Thank you.
And we would have to change our website. Is that correct, Craig?
Right. That would be
Yep.
probably the easier thing on it. But you're right, Tom, we do want to make sure we get that done.
All right. Do I have a motion to support the name change of Trees Forever program to Cape Fear Legacy Trees?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Do I have any discussions? Anybody, any questions, comments? All right. So let's, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alana?
Sorry, aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? So moved. All right. Next item on the agenda is the native tree list. Kate, I know that you've been working on this, and thank you for your help and support on that. We'd love to hear how we can continue that help and support.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm working on, so I've sort of completed, but waiting for review, so I will make changes on everything, but what Jim and I determined showy flowering trees, because all trees flower. So we wanted to indicate really notable flowering trees. People would, people often want a lot of color, a lot of large flowers, etc. So that tree list is pretty much done. And then the second one that's done is the larval host tree. Jim asked for this a few years ago, and that's done. And now I've been working on shade trees, large trees. And then I've got another list I'm working on, and anybody that has ideas of what they want to make sure are included, please email me. But this is for trees that benefit, I think the terminology I'm using is trees that benefit wildlife. And that includes insects and birds and mammals and everything else, reptiles, whatever. And so that list has two components. One is the first part of it is from the Doug Tallamy book, Bringing Nature Home, and it's what he calls keystone species. And it's pretty much only 3 categories: oaks, native cherries, and I'm not using the cherry laurel, I'm using the black cherry, and the birch, and the only birch that really grows down here is river birch. So that's a pretty limited list, but underneath that, I wanted to include a high lipid fruit list, because that's really, Doug Tallamy didn't do that list, and that list will be under the list that of what Doug Tallamy calls keystone species. And then there's one more group that I didn't know whether to compile them all. This is where I'd like information from you all, because it takes me quite a bit of time to do these things, but I did get tutorials on how to do the Excel spreadsheet, but because of my blindness, I do it all, not looking at the screen. So it takes me a little longer than other people, quite a bit longer. But the other group is salt tolerant, beach trees, if you will. Plants, and I just came up with flood tolerant trees and wind tolerant trees. So those, is there anything else I'm missing? Wind tolerant, salt tolerant, flood tolerant. Is there something else I'm missing?
I think those are enough categories for us to work with for the time being.
So could I put it, because there are not a lot of species in those groupings, could I put it in one spreadsheet? That's my question.
I think that would be, of course, large trees versus small trees.
Yeah.
So there's another.
There's another category, but actually almost all the flowering trees are small trees. Well, there's a final category. I didn't, in the large shade trees, put in the needled, and the only non-needled one is in this area that's native is the bald cypress. I was wondering if, since I'm working on the list as we speak, I would have the deciduous shade trees other than the magnolia, which is a broadleaf. When they have those big leaves like that are not needled, they're called broadleaf. And I wanted underneath that to have, underneath it, within that spreadsheet, then the cone producing needled evergreens that would help with shading. But do you think those needled evergreens should be incorporated into the deciduous list? Does anybody have an opinion on that? I would assume, I'm trying to think like a lay person here. What I would like to do is have it as simplified as possible.
there's so many different ways you could classify these things. You can have sections of the spreadsheet with categories and then a further classification with additional columns. Why don't you and I meet sometime when you're available and sort of work out a scheme for these classifications? I've got some ideas I'd like to suggest to you.
Okay, great.
I mean, I would say from a layperson's perspective, any needles tend to fall under coniferous, and then, deciduous tend to be more, leaf, even though I know some, even, pines and everything else lose their needles and stuff, but yeah. I mean, just from a layperson, not a person who's, fully invested in, in the research and study. But that would be my suggestion.
To do coniferous, but people might not even understand that terminology.
True.
So I would just do cone producing coniferous.
How about just pines?
Pines, yeah.
No,
pines.
because that's
I
very
know.
misleading.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to mislead the public, because what
Yep.
about the Chamaecyparis thioides, the juniper virginiana, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And everybody
it
looks up
really
and says-
gets complicated in terms of trying to decide how to classify.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think people understand what a shade tree is. So I mean, if we start going into coniferous and
Basically,
deciduous,
Big tree with widespread crown.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And there's not that many conifers that are really true shade trees.
yeah, true. And, I would say keep it simple and, that would be my recommendation. But Kate, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm having fun, but it is time consuming and
And
tedious.
let us know how we can support you.
Yeah, don't make me make tons of changes, because I'm really struggling to insert in those cells.
Yep.
That's a struggle.
Well, I mean, I can help you on Excel if you just send me the Excel spreadsheet. And I can take a look at it and make changes.
Great. That'd be great, because when I have to make changes, I wreck the whole thing.
No problem.
Not in the cells themselves, but just
Yep,
making the rows, inserting rows and stuff.
gotcha.
Hey, I got a comment, Kate. I was looking at it, and this is, I tell you, as far as some of the things that this group has been involved with, I really like this one because I think it has huge value to our citizens to get lists that they can work with and their native trees, and then help them make their decisions. And I noticed on the one list that you had the heights of the trees, which was great, but I didn't see it on the other. And I because we are an urban city with power lines and constraints above, I certainly want to make sure that we can tell them about, how high this thing is going to grow. So they make some good decisions, and hopefully we don't have power lines affected by it or other things. But I'm really excited by the project. I also, I started actually playing with your thing and changing stuff. And I was like, this is not helpful if I just jump in and, micro look at it. But I'd love to get, and I look at myself as a layman because I don't really know that much about trees. So if it makes sense to me, it probably makes sense to most citizens. But I think myself and maybe, Judd and Alana and Kathy that aren't, as versed as you, can give some good thoughts on how to make it accessible for, a lot of people to learn from. But thanks so much for your effort.
I included the height, and I debated whether to include the width. But what I have done in additional notes, which is a category within the Excel spreadsheet, if the tree is particularly narrow or particularly broad outside of the normal range, that's when I put that information in, because I just didn't think it was as important as the height. And also, it's all variable. Many trees, I was so surprised the first time I ever came down south to see the white ash that grew down here. I'm like, our white ash is big up north. They're all dead now, but they were, I didn't include one ash in my list because of the problems with ash trees. There's not one ash species that's protected now from all these biological problems. So I'm not including ashes. There's a lot of trees I omitted. Yeah, because, and for example, Castanea dentata, the American chestnut went 150 years ago, it lost. We got, it still grows as an understory shrub, if you will. But there is a hybrid one, but I didn't even include that because it's not proven yet to be totally resistant. And I hate for people to put in trees and lose them. There's nothing worse than losing trees. When you're a homeowner, it's very frustrating. So I'm being slightly judgmental about trees here, that I don't want to give the public any trees that potentially could die.
Yeah, and Kate and I had some discussion about this before the meeting started. Daryl Penny's original list has a lot of trees on it that are native to North Carolina, but are not really native and well adapted to this region. And Kate and I agree on this. This final list needs to be trees that we are certain that well adapted to do well in this region. Of course, input from Aaron and other people on that final list is very helpful on that.
Yep.
Yeah. For example, I haven't seen an Amelanchier down here. That doesn't mean they don't grow down here. That's a Shadbow
Well,
service
I
berry.
need to take you out to my lot and show you one that's doing very well.
Okay, good. Well, I included it. But the Canadensis I didn't include, and then I was reading another.
It has ripe fruit on it right now.
Is it the Arborea or is it the Canadensis? Is it?
It's the natural hybrid between the two.
Oh, wow. Anyway,
Anyway, yeah, that's one of my favorites. In
Oh,
addition
I-
to French tree.
yeah.
Great. All right, well, Kate and Jim, thank you for all of your hard work on this. Looking forward to, pushing it along and getting it to the finish line. So yes, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Strategic Planning Committee updates. The first one is the tree ordinance and enforcement. I would say that we have, Craig has included a tree removal permit, always called before you cut. Did you want to discuss this under the tree ordinance and enforcement area, or how did you want to handle this, Craig?
Yeah, in general, this is just to let you know sort of our progress. And I only got like a few minutes with Jim before, but Jim had some thoughts and wanted to add some things to it. But I think we're headed in a good direction. What we're looking at, just so you get the sense of it on that tree removal permit, are things that we would want to include in some education, or let me make sure I put this right. We would want to recommend be put into tree education, primarily coming from our zoning department within the city. And the zoning department looked over this list also and gave some thoughts on it. But I know Jim wants to put a little bit more time in and be something a little bit more comprehensive.
Okay, Jim, any comments or?
As Craig indicated, there's some additions and changes I'd like to make to this, make it a little more comprehensive than it is right now. So I'm going to take a stab at revision and then we're going to go from there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any other updates on the tree ordinance and enforcement? Jim or Judd? I guess Judd left. So you got cut off.
Judd had to leave. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. So resource commitment. So right now I know that the budget will be has been submitted and reviewed, and I'm sure things are going along to Aaron's plan, hopefully. And then once it gets reviewed and approved, we can move forward with it. Is there anything that you need our help with in order to move anything forward, or?
Just waiting on council approval for the
Okay.
budget. So.
Okay.
good to go.
And you and the funding for the outside contractors is still in there?
As far as I know, it's still in there right now. Yes.
Great. Okay. Any other questions on resource commitment group? All right. Community education, Kate and Alana. Alana, do you have any updates?
I do not. I'm hoping Kate has an update.
Okay. Well, I mean, Well, one thing you're doing is, you're going out and measuring the heritage trees and tree awards, which is great, which helps with community education, so to speak. And yeah, so no, thank you for your help on that.
Well, hopefully we can touch base a little more. And I know we had some grand plans last year, and maybe we need to touch base, revisit where we're at on those things, but happy to do that now that summer's here.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Hey, Tom, for continuity, I think the native plant list that is a big lift that, Kate is involved with, really it is community education. And I will shift that, if that's okay with you, in the agendas going forward and put it in there. And, Alana, I'm not sure of your bandwidth with school and so forth, but, maybe getting your eyeball on some of these lists from, someone that's not in the tree world, could be of some help in just getting some of the language that makes sense. I don't know if that's comfortable for you to be involved with.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a good summer project because obviously I have a lot more time for a few months here before things pick back up. So definitely.
I would appreciate it.
Thanks, Alana. All right, so Connie Parker, she's not with us. Oh, well.
Tom, I'm going to give you a little bit of update on that. One, they had a very successful, and Jim, I'm not sure if you were at the Leland tree giveaway. As a yes, then I'll let you chime in on that one, but I will let you know that later this afternoon, I'm in a subcommittee with the Alliance. They're in the process of hiring their very first paid executive director, and we'll be reviewing the job posting closed yesterday or on Monday, but we're meeting today to review the applicants and then select a pool to interview going forward. But yeah, Jim, if you want to talk about the Leland thing, that'd be great.
Yes, the last tree distribution for this spring was on April 29th at Founder's Park, which is a public park in Leland. Had approximately 1,000 trees and really great attendance of folks who were happy to get them. There were probably around 150 left, and the Leland Parks Department folks were happy to take those because they're going to be planting those in Leland Parks. So they all went to good homes. I just also wanted to mention that you may or may not know that Connie had extensive lumbar spinal surgery on May 1st, and so far as I know at this point, it went well, and she's recuperating. But I can speak from personal experience, that's a very long, slow recuperation process.
All right. Thanks, Jim, for the updates, and we wish Connie well. All right. Anything else on Alliance for Cape Fear Trees? Craig? You all set?
Actually, I do have one that I'm going to share because I think it's kind of interesting. I'm working with Everett from
Everett Jones.
Bartlett?
Bartlett.
Yeah.
Bartlett. I am got some other name in my head. Everett volunteered using his truck for watering. And there was a wonderful planting done at the Pine Forest Cemetery of 124 trees. And they're doing well, as of this minute. But, as we look at trying to get volunteers more involved with watering, this is a private spot, so it's different from our other plantings, but this could be a little kind of a test run for process and, how these things might work. But I'm working with him to see if we can't use his truck and do a watering in the next, 6 to 8 weeks over there. And that's coming through an Alliance effort.
Yeah, I know there's a meeting on Thursday at 1 o'clock to talk about that. Are you aware of that?
Is that the volunteer corps?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I have not been involved. This is kind of a separate one, but I sure want to know how that goes. So I
Okay.
appreciate keeping us looped in.
Gotcha. All right, anything else on Alliance for Cape Fear Trees? All right, any new business? I would like to just circle back to the Fifth Avenue native tree recommendation. I know that this was part of our April meeting minutes, and I'm just curious if there's any updates on that. Craig, have you heard anything, or has Sally shared anything with us?
I don't have any updates.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. And then as far as new members, I know, Craig, I know that they have solicited, they put out some requests for new members, haven't they? Wasn't it through social media or something?
Right. To be more specific, we are, a commission of 6 members at this point. We have 3 openings. And that information, I put a request at from my boss to her boss and upwards, and communication department went and sent out some things through social media. I'm not remembering if it was just Instagram. I think that's where I saw it, but encouraging people to apply. Certainly this group, people that that you think would be good additions is another effort. I'm not sure if there's any other buddy that's involved with our meeting today that has any other input on that, but there's aware that we have openings and trying to do different things, extra things to get us some more team members.
Great. No, thank you, Craig. And then also from the meeting minutes last time, Bill Walsh, did he decline?
He did.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. Gotcha. All right. Any other new business? Alana, do you have anything?
Not off the top of my head, no, but definitely some things I apparently need to give some thought to. And sorry, I was not at the last meeting. I had jury duty, which was fun. So do we have a meeting next month? Is that June?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
We do
Okay,
not have a meeting in July.
July. Okay, I couldn't remember when it was coming up. Thank you.
All right. So Tom Moten, do you have anything you want to add? Thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate your support.
Yes, Tom, my intention in attending the meeting is to convey on behalf of the managers and council how we value the work of our volunteers on our committees. And to the extent that I can, I like to be present also to convey to our staff that we appreciate the investment they make. The work you're doing is important. It is transforming our community, and I want to encourage you to continue doing the excellent work you're doing.
Thank you for those nice words.
You're welcome.
Really, really appreciate your support. All right. Aaron, anything? Jim? Kate? Craig?
Nothing else.
Okay. So I call the meeting to a close at, let's say 10:14. And thank you for all your help and support, and look forward to the next meeting and then definitely working on this native tree list. So again, thank you very much.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yes, you too.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward to seeing
Thank
some of
you.
you at the measurement tomorrow.